Spanish judge to hear lawsuit after Barcelona transfer, and this regards to Neymar. From 22nd of January 2014, a Spanish judge has agreed to hear a lawsuit brought against Barcelona president Sandro Rosell over the club signing of Neymar from Santos. Barcelona club member Jordi Casas alleges that the actual amount paid was more than 48.6 million pounds or 57 million euros in June, and that Rosell misappropriated funds. The 21-year-old striker moved to the Nou Camp in June of 2013. The lawsuit is against Rosell, not Barca. We don't think that somebody kept the money, said Casas. We only want to know how they account for the expenditures because it isn't clear. He added to Spanish newspaper El País. Rosell and other Barcelona board members have previously insisted that confidentiality clauses prevent them from revealing the exact amount of the 57 million euros received by Santos and three companies who own shares of Neymar's rights. Judge Pablo Ruz has requested to see a number of documents relating to the transfer, including Barcelona's contracts for the payment of 7.9 million euros for the rights to three Santos youth players, and for the payment of 9 million euros to play 2 friendlies with Santos. However, Rosell, who succeeded Joan Laporta as club president in 2010, is willing to answer Judge Ruz's questions with regards to Casas' lawsuit. We respect all the contracts we signed, Rosell signed. That's why I would be delighted for the judge to summon me for questioning so I can explain all the questions related to the contract. Now, that's an interesting one because on the 23rd of January 2014, a day later, Barcelona president Sandro Rosell resigns amid Neymar transfer row. Barcelona club chief Sandro Rosell has resigned following a Spanish court's decision to look into last year's signing of Brazil star Neymar. Rosell maintains the accusation is unfair and reckless. He added, "For some time, my family and myself have suffered threats and attacks in silence. These threats and attacks have made me wonder if being president means having to jeopardize my family. From the beginning, I have said the signing of Neymar has been correct, and this signing has caused despair and envy in some of our adversaries." Rosell said he was resigning to spare the club's board of directors from unfair attacks that could negatively affect their management or the image of the club. He added, "It has been an honor to serve the Barcelonistas. It has been a privilege to be the president of FC Barcelona." Rosell, as said, was named Barcelona president in the summer of 2010 after winning a landslide vote to succeed Joan Laporta after earning 61.34% of a record turnout of 57,088 voters. He had also been vice president under Laporta before resigning in 2005. Now, Sky Sports have come out with a breakdown of the Neymar deal, which actually totals up to £109.19 million. 109.19. So it's one of them ones. The financial breakdown apparently is to Neymar's parents, £34 million, to Santos, £14.6 million, signing on fee, £8.2 million, agents fee, £2.24 million, marketing, £3.31 million, Neymar Foundation gets £2.07 million, collaboration £6.55 million, scouting £1.66 million, and wages £36.47 million. Now, you know what, yeah? Huge questions here. Because resigning, I know it's innocent until proven guilty. I know it's innocent until proven guilty, but at the end of the day, sometimes resigning from something, sometimes resigning from something is actually an admission of guilt. And like, I don't know. I think it's one of them ones where it's just an odd one that there's so many discrepancies in the Neymar fee. I mean, what was it? Was it something like 50 something million euros? 50 something million euros, which is hold on, let me rig up that exact fee. Yeah, 48.6 million compared to 109 million. That's a huge difference. So I can understand this lawsuit coming and asking the questions of, right, where's this money going? Where's this money come from? Where's this money going? Can understand that with those big amounts, but then the same question has to be asked of teams such as Real Madrid, I think. So it's one of them ones. You can't, for me, you can't just ask that kind of question of one entity. You've got to ask it of a few. And corruption in football, we've had segments, some special feature segments about corruption in football, money in football. So it's one of them ones where I just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of see the whole thing as quite shady. Rosell, well, we'll see with the lawsuit whether he's done anything wrong, but this doesn't exactly look that good on Barcelona, because obviously recently around Barcelona you've had Messi's father and the tax issue. So you've had that. You've got this issue now with Rosell being questioned and brought to court after hearing the lawsuit. So it's an odd one. I think it is very much an odd one. And hell, if it turns out that the deal is shady, then, well, it remains to be seen what's going to happen. But it's one of them ones. We're gonna see. I think it's one of them ones where we are surely going to see a lot more on this as more facts become available. Because as I said, that's just a huge discrepancy. That is such a huge discrepancy in terms of Casillas alleging that the actual amount paid was more than the 48.6 million actually put out there. I mean, and that Rosell misappropriated funds. That's a very serious accusation. So, I mean, Gman, did you want to jump in on this?
Well, just to say, as this story unravels, it is a bit concerning, especially, we've always had those conversations about Spain and the situation they are in financially as a country as it is. And then the fact that their top two teams, a monopoly in that league as it is in terms of the money and the revenue that gets split between all the clubs and just between themselves.
Yeah.
And the fact that, this Neymar deal has now unearthed potentially, more sort of corruptive or corrosive nature in which, how far they will extend themselves to, get the player that they want. Just hearing that Neymar's parents got 38 million, what has that got to do with Neymar as a player and signing him to the club? Putting that into their company, like it just sounds dodgy as it is, if you get what I'm saying. So the more light that comes onto this, it will be interesting, and I just can't wait to hear more about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the interesting thing, because as we hear more, obviously more facts are going to come to light. So potentially it's going to be that we're waiting on more facts. Obviously no decisions have been made, but I just think it's interesting that Rosell, all right, maybe it was honestly to spare the club's blushes and spare the directors any more aggro, maybe. But then at the same time, it has to be looked upon potentially as an admission of guilt, that you've done something wrong, otherwise you wouldn't need to resign, you wouldn't feel the need. But then he's been saying that he's been having threats. So I think Rosell is potentially caught between a rock and a hard place, but it could be that he's been the architect of that. This is the thing. These are the issues that we don't know yet. So I think I think this is going to be very interesting to see this play out. Very, very interesting. I mean, if it does come out that this is, and just speculating here, if this does come out that the deal was corrupt, then not even what does it say for Spanish football, because that's one issue, but also what does it potentially say for Barcelona as a club, who have always had this squeaky clean image in terms of their work with UNICEF and many others. They've always had that kind of squeaky clean image. So what is that going to say? How is that gonna affect that? So what them was. I mean, James Pegg, you wanted to jump in on this. You wanted to jump in on this, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, well, we all know what's happening with money in football. I mean, football's trophies nowadays. So I was just thinking, it makes you wonder if there's been any other corrupt signings that haven't been unearthed or haven't been dug up yet with the amount of money that's being thrown around. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
No, you know what? That's a great shout. That is a great shout, because usually it's a case of once one thing gets unearthed, then countless other things start coming to light. Like look at even coming out of football, because I always say football's a microcosm of society. So if one thing gets found out that there's some corruption with one club, then you get a bunch of other clubs who information starts to come out about as well, and match fixing. Look at that as an example. But you look at, say, Operation U-Tree. Look, some may say, and I'm one of them, that it's kind of token gestures. You're going to arrest most of them for molesting children back in the 60s, 70s, and it's going to be kind of like token gestures. You might just arrest them, but you'll let them go. But it's a case of, you look at the Jimmy Savile thing, buddy, that started a raft of other allegations about other people coming to light. So once you unearth one thing, is my point. This is my point. Once you unearth one thing, you might end up unearthing a whole plethora of other things as well. And football's very much like that, whereby you unearth one match that was fixed, you get other people coming out and saying, oh yeah, I think this match might have been fixed too. Then you get investigations all around. Like look at Singapore in that. So it's one of them ones.